The Road Warriors crushed opponents, but one enemy they couldn't beat was their fate. Hawk and Animal dominated wrestling for years. Face paint, spikes, and raw power made them icons. But behind the scenes, there was a horror show no one knew of. Addiction, betrayal, a storyline that went too far. How did wrestling's most feared tag team crumble from within? Let's get into it from the start. Before they were the legendary Road Warriors, they were just two guys named Joe Laurinaitis and Mike Hegstrom. They started out as bouncers, which explains why they were so big and intimidating. They met while working out at a gym in Minnesota. This gym wasn't just any gym, though. It was owned by a famous wrestler and trainer named Eddie Sharkey. He saw something special in Joe and Mike, their size, their intensity, their raw potential. He took them under his wing and molded them into the wrestlers they would become. That's how the Road Warriors were born. With their mohawks, face paint, and spiked shoulder pads, they looked like they came from a Mad Max movie. But being famous is hard. It comes with problems. Joe and Mike had to deal with a lot of challenges as they became more popular. Their journey was just starting, and it was going to be tough. Let's start with something mild. Everyone loved the Road Warriors, but the other wrestlers, not so much. See, the Road Warriors had a reputation. They weren't just tough, they were brutal. They fought with a ferocity that was unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. Stories started going around about how some wrestlers were so scared of the Road Warriors that they actually quit. Can you imagine being so intimidating that people would rather give up their dream job than face you in the ring? That's the kind of fear that Hawk and Animal inspired. And it wasn't just their appearance. These guys were incredibly strong. They could lift other wrestlers over their heads and slam them to the ground like they weighed nothing. Their signature move, the Doomsday Device, was a devastating combination that left opponents seeing stars. The Road Warriors were a huge draw for wrestling fans. Everyone wanted to see these incredible athletes in action. But behind the scenes, things were getting tense. Some wrestlers were genuinely worried about getting hurt. One famous example involved another tag team called the Powers of Pain. They were supposed to have a big feud with the Road Warriors, but when they learned they were going to lose, they left the wrestling company. They were that afraid of getting seriously injured in the matches. And from here, everything started to spiral down. They were living the dream, partying all the time, and everyone wanted to be their friend. But sometimes the party goes on for too long, and things get out of hand. That's what happened to Hawk. He started using drugs and got caught in a dangerous trap. It's like falling into a deep, dark hole, and it's really hard to climb back out. Animal, his best friend and wrestling partner, saw him struggling and tried to help, but it's like trying to pull someone out who keeps digging themselves deeper. Despite all this, the show had to go on. Can you imagine having to go to work and smile when you feel awful inside? That's what the Road Warriors did. Every night they put on their fierce face paint and stepped into the ring, pretending everything was okay. It's heartbreaking because they were so talented and successful, but sometimes the toughest battles happen outside the spotlight. They were dealing with the pressure of being famous and the pain of addiction. They might have been winning matches, but they were losing in life. And if you think this was terrible, you are not ready for what happened next. When they joined the WWE in 1990, things started to go wrong. The WWF changed their name from the Road Warriors to the Legion of Doom, which upset many fans. It was the beginning of a series of creative decisions that would damage the team. One of the most infamous was the introduction of Rocco, a ventriloquist dummy they were supposed to carry around. This was humiliating for the tough, no-nonsense Road Warriors, especially Hawk. Hawk, already known for his wild personality, began to struggle. He missed shows, showed up late, and sometimes disappeared altogether. His behavior became increasingly erratic, and the pressure of being in the WWF seemed to worsen things. Meanwhile, Animal was left to pick up the pieces. He tried to keep the team going, but it was tough without his partner. He felt the burden of carrying their legacy and was frustrated by Hawk's unreliability. Instead of helping Hawk, the WWF decided to exploit his struggles for a storyline. They introduced a character named Puke, who was supposed to be helping the Road Warriors, but it was clearly a reference to Hawk's personal problems. This was a new low, even for the often controversial world of professional wrestling. The Road Warriors hated this storyline. They felt betrayed and exposed. Fans were also uncomfortable watching the team they admired being exploited in such a way. This once dominant team was falling apart. Hawk was battling his demons, Animal was trying to hold everything together, and the WWF seemed determined to make things worse. Hawk and Animal weren't having it. They protested against the storyline, feeling it went way too far. But in the world of wrestling, the show must go on. And boy, did it go on. Straight into a dumpster fire. The storyline reached its lowest point with the infamous Titantron incident. Just try to picture Hawk, supposedly drunk, stumbling around on top of the massive Titantron video screen. The announcers played it up, talking about how he was under the influence. And then, in a moment that made everyone's heart stop, Hawk fell from the Titantron. It was a fake suicide attempt. For ratings. Let that sink in for a moment. The backlash was immediate and intense. Fans were outraged. Critics slammed WWF for crossing a line. Even hardcore wrestling fans who were used to over-the-top storylines felt this was too much. WWF had taken a real-life struggle and turned it into a circus act. The damage was done. The Road Warriors, once the most feared tag team in wrestling, were now at the center of one of its most controversial storylines. It was clear that something had to give, and give it did. In a move that shocked the wrestling world, Hawk and Animal walked away from WWF. The storyline had pushed them too far, and they'd had enough. But the big question remained, could they recover from this? Their reputation was in tatters, their personal lives were in turmoil, and the wrestling world was buzzing with rumors and speculation. The Road Warriors had faced countless opponents in the ring. They'd been in brutal matches, taken hard falls, and come out on top time and time again. But this was different. This was a blow to their very identity, to everything they'd built over the years. As they left WWF, many wondered if this was the end of the road for Hawk and Animal. Could they bounce back from such a public and personal disaster? Or had the Road Warriors finally met their match in the form of a storyline gone horribly wrong? The Road Warriors had hit rock bottom. Their WWF run was a disaster. Their reputation was shot. But sometimes when you're at your lowest, an unexpected lifeline appears. For Hawk and Animal, that lifeline came from a place they least expected. Where? And was it enough to save them? After leaving WWF, the Road Warriors found themselves in unfamiliar territory. They were no longer the unstoppable force that struck fear into opponents. Instead, they were scrambling for bookings on the independent circuit. It was a far cry from the packed arenas and championship gold they were used to. Hawk's demons didn't disappear just because they left the big leagues. His struggle with addiction continued, a vicious cycle of rehab and relapse. It was heartbreaking to watch. This man, once the epitome of power and intensity in the ring, was now fighting a battle he couldn't seem to win. Animal stood by his partner through it all. But you've got to wonder, how long could he keep this up? The strain was visible. In interviews, Animal's voice would crack when talking about Hawk's struggles. He was trying to hold the team together, but it was like trying to catch water with a net. Just when it seemed like all hope was lost, a call came from across the ocean. Japan wanted the Road Warriors. The fans there still remembered the dominant force they once were. It was a chance at redemption, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. In Japan, something magical happened. The Road Warriors found their groove again. Remember that match against Killer Khan and Animal Hamaguchi? Hawk and Animal destroyed them in under 4 minutes. The Japanese crowd went wild. It was like stepping back in time to their glory days. But was this resurgence too little? Too late? The wrestling world had changed. New stars were rising. Could the Road Warriors reclaim their spot at the top? They gave it their all, that's for sure. They competed in various independent shows across the U.S. They even won the World Tag Team Championship in International Wrestling Superstars. It was like watching old lions roar one last time, reminding everyone why they were once kings of the jungle. Their final run wasn't without its highlights. On May 12, 2003, they made their last U.S. TV appearance, facing off against Rob Van Dam and Kane. The Road Warriors were hoping for one last shot, one final contract with WWE, but it wasn't meant to be. As the sun set on their careers, Hawk and Animal had one last tour of Japan. It was fitting, really. The country that had embraced them at their lowest was there to see them off. Their final match as a team came on October 3, 2003, in Oshawa, Ontario. They defeated Greg, the Hammer Valentine, and Buff Bagwell. It wasn't the grandest stage, but it was a victory nonetheless. The Road Warriors' journey was coming to an end. They had clawed their way back from the brink, showing flashes of their old brilliance. But wrestling is a young man's game, and time waits for no one, not even legends. As Hawk and Animal left the ring for the last time as a team, you couldn't help but wonder, what would be next for these warriors of the road? Just when it seemed the Road Warriors might reclaim their glory, tragedy struck. October 19th, 2003. A date that would forever change the course of wrestling history. What went down that day? The Road Warriors were gearing up for a comeback. Hawk and Animal, those larger-than-life icons of the ring, were ready to tell their story. They'd started writing a book, eager to share the wild ride they'd been on for over 2 decades. Things were finally looking up, but fate had other plans. On that fateful October day, the unthinkable happened. Hawk, the man who'd struck fear into the hearts of wrestlers everywhere, was gone. Just like that, a heart attack took him at the age of 46. The wrestling world was rocked to its core. Imagine finding your tag team partner, your brother in arms, lifeless in bed. That's what happened to Hawk's partner. One minute they're packing boxes, planning for the future. The next, everything changes. It's the kind of news that makes your blood run cold. The tributes poured in faster than you could count. Wrestlers, fans, promoters, everyone had a Hawk story to tell. Remember how he'd terrorize opponents with that crazy intense stare? Or how he'd climb to the top rope, defying gravity despite his size? Those memories came flooding back as the wrestling community mourned. But what about Animal? How do you go on when half of your identity is suddenly gone? For 20 years, it had been Hawk and Animal, Animal and Hawk. Now Animal was alone, trying to make sense of a world without his partner. You've got to hand it to Animal, though. The Road Warrior spirit was strong in this one. Even in the depths of grief, he found a way to keep going. He returned to WWE in 2005, determined to honor Hawk's memory. Every match, every promo, every moment in the ring became a tribute to his fallen brother. Hawk's death wasn't just a personal loss for Animal. It sent shockwaves through the entire wrestling community. It was a stark reminder of the toll this business can take. The high-flying moves, the grueling travel schedule, the temptations that come with fame. They all exact a price. The Road Warriors' journey as a team might have ended, but their legacy, that was just getting started. Every time you see a tag team with face paint or hear the crowd roar for a powerful double-team move, you're seeing a bit of Hawk and Animal's influence. Their story isn't just about wrestling, it's about friendship, about pushing limits, about falling down and getting back up again. The Road Warriors showed us the highest highs and the lowest lows of the wrestling world. And in doing so, they carved out a place in history that'll never be forgotten. So the next time you see a pair of spiked shoulder pads or hear that iconic, "Oh, what a rush," remember Hawk and Animal. Remember the Road Warriors. Because legends never truly die. They live on in the hearts of fans and in the ring, inspiring the next generation of warriors. You've seen the face paint, heard the catchphrases, felt the rush. But do you know the real price of becoming a legend? The Road Warriors' legacy is written in more than just championship gold. It's a tale of inspiration, imitation, and the dark side of fame that still haunts wrestling today. Hawk and Animal changed wrestling forever. Their brutal style and intimidating look inspired countless copycats. But here's the thing, none of them could match the original. The Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys, Young Bucks. They all tried to capture that Road Warrior magic. But Hawk and Animal? They were one of a kind. Remember that crowd reaction when the Warriors hit the ring? It was so intense, it got its own name, the Road Warrior Pop. Every tag team since has dreamed of getting that kind of response. But few have come close. But success came at a price. The wrestling world learned some hard lessons from the Road Warrior story about the dangers of fame, the struggle with addiction, the importance of loyalty. Hawk's battles with his demons weren't just personal. They became a wake-up call for the entire industry. After Hawk's passing, Animal carried on. He kept telling their story, honoring his partner's memory. It wasn't easy, but that's what warriors do. They keep fighting. Animal made sure the world didn't forget what he and Hawk had built together. Look around today's wrestling scene. You'll see traces of the Road Warriors everywhere. Face paint, spiked shoulder pads, hard-hitting tag team moves. New generations of wrestlers pay tribute, keeping the spirit of Hawk and Animal alive. But the Road Warriors' tale isn't just about glory. It's a cautionary story, too. A reminder of wrestling's dark side, the toll it takes on body and mind, the temptations that come with fame. It's a legacy of power and pain, triumph and tragedy. How did Hawk and Animal become wrestling's most feared tag team? It wasn't just their look or their moves. It was their intensity, their commitment, the way they lived and breathed their characters. They weren't playing road warriors, they were road warriors. Their impact goes far beyond the ring. After Hawk's struggles came to light, the industry started to change. Wellness policies were introduced. Support systems were put in place. The Road Warriors' experiences helped shape a safer, more responsible wrestling world. Today, when you see a high-flying tag team or hear a crowd explode for a big entrance, you're seeing a bit of the Road Warriors' influence. They didn't just change wrestling, they redefined what it meant to be larger than life. So the next time you catch a glimpse of face paint or hear a crowd roar, think of Hawk and Animal. Their legacy is more than just wins and losses. It's a story of redemption, of brotherhood, of the highs and lows of life in the spotlight. The Road Warriors may be gone, but their impact, that's forever. The Road Warriors weren't just wrestlers. They were icons, legends. But their story is more than spikes and face paint. It's about life, fame, and the thin line between glory and tragedy. Hawk and Animal changed wrestling forever. They inspired countless imitators, but no one could match the original. Their legacy lives on in every tag team that steps into the ring today. But it's not all championship gold and adoring fans. The Road Warriors' journey shows us the dark side of fame, the struggles, the temptations, the price of living life in the fast lane. Their story is a cautionary tale for anyone chasing their dreams. Remember Hawk and Animal for who they really were, not just larger-than-life characters, but men who lived, fought, and left their mark on history. They weren't perfect, but they were real. And in the end, that's what makes their legacy truly unforgettable. Thanks for sticking around till the end. Hawk and Animal were more than just wrestlers. They were larger-than-life icons who changed the game forever. Their journey was full of incredible highs and heartbreaking lows. But through it all, they left a legacy that still inspires fans and wrestlers today. The Road Warriors showed us what it means to fight, not just in the ring, but in life. From their unforgettable entrance to their dominance as a team, they created moments that will never be forgotten. Sure, they faced struggles, but they also showed us the power of resilience, loyalty, and brotherhood. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, share it with your fellow wrestling fans, and drop a comment about your favorite Road Warriors moment. And hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more stories about the legends who shaped the wrestling world. The spirit of Hawk and Animal lives on in every tag team that steps into the ring. And as fans, it's up to us to keep their memory alive. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay strong, keep fighting, and always feel the rush.